go bet.
Okay. The next thing I wish to discuss is, hold on, I'm trying to find it in my my documents here.
What is going on?
Why does it sound like Vietnam outside?
Yeah, I heard that.
Something is going
That's,
on.
Yeah,
something crazy's
it's
going on.
Chain explosion of cars, maybe.
Hold on, hold on.
Yeah, what's going on, Dakota? What's the dispatch
Hold on,
saying?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
That is more than just one.
Well, it's stopped now.
I don't think there is an active emergency at the moment. It could just be I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the locals, while we were all gone, somehow got worse at driving, and
That's because
They
they're all
don't speak
driving
hoodlum.
faster now.
You're
they,
not
br-
wrong.
Everybody
they
speak hoodlum.
Okay, we ready for the next one, boys?
Guy said,
In
"Yeah,
what
mad
respect?
brick outside."
Hell
I don't
yeah.
know what that means.
Okay. Mayoral Amnesty Act. I'm going to share it. It establishes the ability for the mayor office to issue pardons.
Can you share it again?
Yes. Take a quick gander at that, lads.
Yeah, I gotta stand up. I don't get it all the way down here.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, do it again.
Boom.
Got it.
Of important note here is the so I spoke to Malton about this a couple of days ago.
Thank you.
To get some actual good verbiage in here. And the second paragraph, or it's not even a paragraph, the second blurb there, a guilty verdict must be rendered in order to qualify for a mayoral pardon with a minimum of quarter time served. So this isn't like a get out of jail free card from the mayoral office. There is some punishment that must be rendered regardless.
Yeah, I'm fine with this.
What does having the record sealed mean?
I think it means to take it off of their record, right? The charge is
Sponges
removed.
the charge, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any charges that you would not be willing to remove off of a record or sealed?
Fuck, that's a hard one. I don't know. What do you think, Dakota?
If I was gonna spitball off the top of my mind right now, impeachment and treason would be two that I would not be willing to have sealed off of somebody's record.
I'm for that. But, those are two good ones.
I go either way on this, but perjury maybe in that category.
Okay, perjury.
You've lied in the court of law. You know, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Terrorism.
Terrorism.
How about
sure.
how about all capital crimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay, so I'm trying to understand. So clemency is something we've had in the past in this jurisdiction where the mayor, at the point of someone being convicted by a court for a capital crime, could step in and pardon the person from being executed. They could stay the execution.
Oh, okay.
But amnesty is a whole other superjudicial concept. The idea of just wiping a record. What would be the how would there be any kind of like? Is it just
Isn't that
pure
just-
discretion? Like, how does that work?
Isn't that just
Anyone got some food first?
expungement?
Yes.
I'm all out.
Pure discretion on who the mayor office would pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume so.
I don't know that I'm in favor of blanket authority.
Because then we get to the obvious question.
Well, there's a lot of things like, for example, a mayor can be impeached,
right?
And a mayor can be removed, but impeachment doesn't necessarily contain criminal charges or punishment. It's just removal from office. So what's to stop a lame duck mayor from deciding they don't want to rerun for election, or they just don't want to be mayor anymore, and they just grant amnesty to a bunch of people for favors?
Yeah.
I was more
that
thinking
could be
about a person
crazy.
granting amnesty to themselves
Or
and
to
where that
themselves, I mean-
stipulation
Oh
is.
yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That's another problem.
That's the
well,
main question I was thinking of.
my vision for pardoning is something that I would be able to do to myself.
Right, but we gotta, proof it for, less responsible folks.
Yeah, we have to. You always assume the worst of people.
But I don't know I can. How do we safeguard it from being abused in the way I described?
Put a cap on the number of people you can grant per term
Could be
to start
like
at least.
an X
Yeah,
amount
but
per
doesn't that just
month or
increase the
something,
value of it?
minimum. Yeah, it kind of does. That way, people pay
That just
even
means
more.
it becomes more. You get more money for the one pardon you can
Yeah.
grant.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
When justice is deserved can be transformed.
So, what do you guys feel about pardoning in general?
I don't like the general concept. I think
Yeah.
Same. Honestly.
I understood clemency because typically, right, the way I view it is I'm more of like I don't know if I've ever had this conversation with you, Max. I've had it with some of you here. My view of justice is that I'm not really a values and morals person. I'm not the person who's sitting up there being like, you're an evil person and you deserve to be punished because you're wicked. I just think that laws are how we enforce societal norms. So I don't view a drug trafficker or a bank robber as a necessarily evil person. I just view them as someone deserving of punishment. For example, I decided one time that I wanted to shoot Officer Carter with a beanbag shotgun in the chest at a traffic stop. I decided it was worth going to jail for the assault and battery charge because I thought it was funny, and I, accepted the consequences.
You went to
I also
jail?
used to. Oh yeah, I also used to drive
Oh,
around
yeah.
everywhere drunk driving. I used to speed at 140 miles an hour.
Actually,
And I was fully
true.
aware that if I got caught, I would get my license taken away and I'd have to take the bus. I accepted those consequences, right? So I don't have a problem with clemency
Jesus.
because I view clemency as sort of society's moral compass, right? If a mayor wants to embrace the concept of mercy and prevent someone's
Bruh.
life from being
Seen
taken
Michael
at the
with,
0
neck
hour,
tattoos
on
makes
the
me wanna
hangman's
actually go and
gallows,
get it done.
that ain't a
Mhm.
judicial
Even though I
issue, that's a
shouldn't.
social issue, right? And that's why I get clemency. But pardoning is a distinctly like judicial concept that I don't really align with because I feel like
What are your
now
face
we're
blowing up?
subjectively deciding who's deserving of punishment or not after the courts have already made their decision.
I wonder how much.
But Yeah.
What
Well,
is it- how much it hurts to
the
get
idea
done?
here
Why you
is that
shouldn't?
the mayor,
Work.
the popular
Work-related.
vote, the elected official to speak for the people of Los Santos, should have the discretionary ability to provide a pardon to the people that voted him in, the people that he is supposed to represent.
Yeah.
At a base level, I'm in favor of some form of pardon just because it sounds like, in particular, felonies are going to be holding a lot of weight with future things. And maybe this is a little cart before the horse, but in things such as business regulations or ownerships or even just working certain jobs, since felonies are weighted much higher, I think there can be a world for
what's the
pardons in that.
calculus? What's the calculus of the difference between an expungement and a pardon?
Yeah, I was about to say they could
Yeah.
just get it.
Shouldn't they just
Same.
get expunged? We want to set up that program.
That is something I'm going to propose as well.
Right. So I'm saying, because I'm assuming we're at some point we're going to install some kind of expungement system.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is how does a pardon differ and why?
A pardon is on the spot. A pardon is someone of a like a particular happening. All right. The let's say they go through the whole court case because a pardon wouldn't be able to be issued until after a court case is concluded. And the whole host of charges that they've been given would be in the eyes of that particular mayor at that time would be able to be pardoned and sealed.
How do you know if
essentially it would function similar to an expungement but without
Duck is still raw?
the fee or the process involved in like petitioning for it.
And like when it comes to pardoning, I mean, like, obviously it's very circumstantial as well. I don't know. I think there should be a pardoning process for sure.
So, well, I guess let me rephrase that. I'm not asking like mechanically, procedurally how things would work. I'm asking like in terms of you as a mayor, why would you decide to pardon someone versus tell them to go through an expungement?
Correct.
Like, what would be a
Duck
scenario that
allowed to
would
be
inspire you to pardon somebody?
Duck
Someone
allowed to
who
be-
is not able to afford the expungement process.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is done then. All right, never mind.
And there are people that
Someone who does not necessarily deserve the requisite 2-week waiting period to actually to be surveilled in the process of their expungement. Someone who that sort of punishment isn't really deserving.
So you think that if we establish a procedure for expungements and we all agree and vote on it, that then you should be able to decide when it doesn't matter?
No.
Well, that's kind of what you're saying.
No, you are placing a higher value upon the pardon simply because the circumstances are different. They're not. They both serve a purpose. And they would both serve a great purpose, one along the other.
Just to spitball an idea here, what if a pardon had just a limitation on the amount of crimes someone had? Maybe like they can be pardoned, but only if they have very limited felonies, or something. I don't know. Just to spitball any idea that can make it work.
I think, not unfortunately, but I do understand.
I don't have one.
If you were to pardon someone, it seems like it would only be to seal something off of their record that couldn't be removed through expungement, which would render us making it only certain crimes are pardonable obsolete, if that makes sense.
Can you expunge every crime through expungement?
Yeah, I'm on. That's where no. You
can't.
So in the past, when we had expungement legislation, there were a number of crimes that were called heinous acts, and those were not able to be expunged. And so the worry that I'm having is, it feels like we're, how do I phrase this? It's something I run into with the judiciary a lot. Typically, the reason why we don't do direct appeals to bench trial or trial verdicts is because effectively, in a realm where we don't have much diversity in seniority between the judges, you'd just be replacing one judge's discretion and opinion for the other one. It's kind of just like a do-over. And I guess my concern is similar to what Nakota's espousing, is that if we install all these protocols and procedures surrounding expungements and the amount of time you have to wait, let's say someone gets an expungement, we install like waiting periods until they can do another one, that kind of thing. And we regulate all that and we agree on it, then it kind of just feels like at some point the mayor is just deciding that his opinion is better than what we've all agreed on.
Well, what do you do to a mayor that abuses their power?
Well, they'd have to be impeached, but the qualifications for impeachment are related to gross incompetence or negligence. And
why don't we just add pardon abuse in there?
If a pardon is purely discretionary, there's no way to quantify abuse.
Yeah.
Well,
how do we approve it?
Well, you guys are all smart adults. You can, if it seems like a serious problem, like a mayor is, or I guess the future council, I assume they'll be smart individuals. How would they not be able to determine that someone is just flagrantly abusing their ability to pardon people?
We're just doing the volleyball effect. So we all establish our collective judgment as to what expungements and punishments for crimes are. We have a judiciary that determines if people are legal. Then the mayor gets pure discretionary power to decide if someone deserves to be exempt from the entire system that everyone agreed on. And then, in order to counteract that mayoral ability, the council gets discretionary power to decide if the mayor used their pure discretionary power wrong. It's
I think
kicking the ball back over the volleyball net, which is what I'm talking about with judges. You're just supplanting one person's subjective opinion for the other one back and forth.
Pre-screen things.
You guys wouldn't be able to tell if Darth Sidious was about to fucking declare the Republic no longer relevant?
Well, but that's what I'm saying is it's not as insidious, for lack of a better phrasing word, that as you're making it out to be. I'm saying that I think the very nature of pure discretion is in of itself insidious enough. And I don't think there's a way to look at pure discretion and point out when it's used well and poorly. Otherwise, it's just, again, my opinion versus yours. And who's to say my opinion's better than yours?
It's not the opinion of one person. It's the opinion of a group of people who've been elected or chosen to enforce the will of the state.
Right, but you're saying the mayor has the
Yeah,
Yeah.
is it a
The pure
group or is it
discretion.
the mayor?
Yeah,
Those
one
are-
person's making the veto. That
Yeah.
would be
The
the
ma-
mayor,
the
not
ma-
us.
The mayor was chosen by the populace, and therefore it represents the interests of the majority of the people of Los Santos. Wrong?
I'll just lead or conclude with the fact that I think there's a reason why there are branches of government. This is a very good example of it.
Well, I will conclude also that there are checks and balances for a reason, and that if a mayor is abusing their power like that, they should be impeached. That is the check.
Yeah, but
I don't think we should
but
give
again,
them that much power to
we're
abuse it,
we're
too.
just back to the example I brought up in the beginning, which is the mayor doesn't want to be mayor anymore, so he just solicits the
Then
highest
impeach
bidder to
him.
pardon him.
Mhm.
But
Impeach
he's
him.
leaving
Yeah, but it
office
still
anyway.
happened.
well,
Like,
it's-
yeah.
That's why they call it lame duck. It doesn't matter what they do, presumably, because they're not going to run for office again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no punishing someone who's already on the way out.
And then all those people have already had those charges removed, and then we're just kind of fucked.
Like, we as a group need to operate in a forward-thinking manner. I am a reactive, not proactive person. I think that the proactive stifling of certain progress in Los Santos is a stagnant, cancerous thing that will eventually drive us back into our holes and be afraid to propose things that
I
will
fucking
eventually
love Moon.
affect the entirety of the people who live here.
He's speaking.
Not just about pardoning. If we are afraid to punish a mayor or to sit down and figure out a way to punish a mayor who's going to abuse that kind of power, how can we, in good confidence, state that we ourselves are not able to, truly begin to why are we so afraid of punishing after the fact? That's what I want to know.
He's not
Because there's no
afraid,
way to
he's
punish
just
the action
saying
that resolves the issue.
There is.
things
We can
You
come
can't-
up with one, Crane.
in
Okay,
character.
so what is your solution to someone who's a lame duck and then pardons their friend?
The council will vote on whether or not they believe he was a lame duck, and then he will go to jail.
Under
yeah,
what
but
crime?
if they're throwing
A crime that
everything
we
away
can
at that
come up
point,
with.
they
That's my
probably
fucking
don't.
point. We are
But
the
then-
power.
So
But
then we
then-
take the guy who was let out of jail and put him back in jail?
Yeah, sure. Why the
It's called
fuck not?
Double jeopardy.
It's not
Yeah.
called double jeopardy.
That
He's not being charged again. It's the same fucking charge.
He's losing.
But he
his
was already
mind.
pardoned.
Double jeopardy is a concept that was established with years and years, hundreds of years of legal precedence. How does that have any place in Los Santos?
That's why he.
Yeah.
That's why he's saying he wants to be proactive.
That's a good point. I'm
Why are we cherry picking
I'm gonna
this?
tell PD they
That's
can
a-
charge
that's-
twice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I can get-
I don't know about that.
I could give you a hypothetical.
Sure.
We'll call it the Cornwood Proclamation. If you
Oh
forget
my
to write a
God.
search warrant, you're still good to go.
No.
Okay, so I have a hypothetical situation here. I find a brick of weed. A brick
Uh-huh.
of weed has 2 DNA prints on it. I bring in a suspect, and their DNA print is on that brick of weed, and I charge them for the possession of it because their DNA matches. So they've been charged with possession of that brick. I arrest another person 3 weeks later who also has DNA that matches the DNA matched finding it on that brick of weed. Can I charge that person for possession of that as well?
Can you?
I don't know.
Well, you should know. You know the law. You're a cop.
That's
Take that.
constructive possession.
For the
You can make an
same item
argument.
that someone's already charged for it, though?
Yeah, but
If
well,
you've
okay,
got
well that
two
but how do you
separate-
prove the
Yeah.
temporal nature of the possession?
Their DNA being on it.
Right? And so I'm saying if I possess a gun and then I hand you a gun, you
Mhm.
also possessed the gun.
Correct. Okay, perfect.
So we both committed the crime.
Everyone sounds kind of done at this point.
I think
I wanna go to
that
bed.
impeachment perfectly would okay. So listen up. Let's say there's a lame duck. Let's say he decides to shoot off some pardons toward the end of his term. Let's say he pardons like 5 people. Let's say those people are
Yeah.
honestly, even if he does do this, what's the issue? what no what could someone like
That's
that
crazy.
what kind of connections could that person have? What kind of crimes could have possibly been committed for
Hold
someone
on.
like what
Is
like,
the
let's use-
prolific
let's use
ex-terrorist with the
me-
face tattoo asking that question?
No, okay. How many acts of terrorism have happened in Los Santos after the collapse? How many murders have happened since the collapse?
Terrorism.
We
Terrorism,
yeah.
at least
two?
one.
Two.
One or
Isn't there
two.
one on the
Yeah,
docket for
wasn't
that?
Yeah, there's
there-
one on the
Yes,
docket
there
right
is.
now.
That's what I've
He has
heard.
not been charged with that
Murder?
yet.
I know. Okay.
It's on the
I
docket
mean,
for
we're-
it.
There was
It's
a
on the-
murder
that doesn't
too.
mean he's
let's
guilty.
Just say,
Yeah, there was a
let's
murder.
just
I
say
didn't say
one.
that.
Let's just say one. Someone's been charged with terrorism.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Okay,
There was
let's
a murder
continue.
too at Senor Buns.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we've got one
Yeah, there's
and
been a
one.
few.
So let's
Mhm.
continue.
Okay, I don't have terrorist connections anymore. I don't have criminal connections anymore. What
Right, nobody's
realistic?
saying that you do.
No, I know. In what realistic world? Because I'm a very unique individual. Okay.
Mhm.
In what world would there be a mayor that is elected that would have the ability and proximity to people to actually issue a pardon to someone that would be dangerous to society?
Once upon a time, Rami ran for mayor, okay, and almost
he
won.
lost. He lost though.
But we should
Barely.
really be
Had
thinking. No,
corrupt
but,
mayors though. We
But like,
have.
I mean,
but we should also be giving the benefit of the doubt because this shit happened 5 years ago. It's good to bring it up, but we should also be giving people the benefit of the doubt.
And we can't live in
well,
the past.
yes,
We-
but
Well, hold on. There is a whole different set of checks and balances for the mayor now that did not exist 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And
Mhm.
the ability
Right.
to abuse their power is so
Right.
minuscule in comparison to what was possible before.
What if a request
right,
for
and
pardon
that
came
was
before
set up
the
that
city
way
council
because we
then,
don't
and not
want
just one?
There's
There's
two
history to
people.
repeat
There's
itself.
two people talking right now. So
Mhm.
one person go ahead, and then the other go ahead, please. So
Philippa
Cantor,
has
yeah,
been trying to
Cantor.
talk for a little bit.
Cantor, go ahead.
Sure. I was just gonna say, what if someone requests a pardon from the entire council? Then there you go. There's checks.
We
by all means. That we have to discuss it.
I had initially entertained that thought. The reality of the situation is that a pardon is typically executed in like a hasty manner, as opposed to waiting for once a week for us to like vote on the matter, and then we have to research the case as a group and kind of figure out, and then there might be disagreements, and it becomes a
Well,
more
that's 'cause
long-winded
pardons
thing.
are typically for lame ducks and capital crime.
Typically,
Yeah.
but not always.
So if we're gearing them not to be towards lame ducks and capital crimes, then it wouldn't need to be hasty.
Isn't the idea behind all of this that we have the ability to be the change that we want to be, that we aren't like fettering ourselves with just bureaucracy tape after bureaucracy tape. We passed like fucking 4 new laws and legislations here right now. We don't
Yeah,
need to
I
bog.
agree.
Yeah, we've been killing it.
Yeah, it's good. Anybody have food? I'm gonna pass out.
I got food.
Yeah,
Wait,
I've
no, I
got.
don't. I don't have food.
do.
I lied.
I have plenty. So
So
balance it on your chair.
I think a good idea for this whole pardoning thing would be to prevent a mayor from being able to issue pardons in like the last month of their term or some shit.
So 92415. What?
Or if they're up for impeachment, they can't issue any
Huh.
pardons.
what was that last part, Max? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I zoned the fuck out as well.
Hold on, I'm stuck in the chair table.
What do I think of the conversation? I get the both sides' point of view, but I do.
Sorry,
wanna
I get
support-
antsy after a few hours on my ass, so I
want
to
to support Max because I think he's not wrong. People
I think
doing shit as a
that there
mayor
are
should get
ways
punished.
to have a pardon be something that is something that the mayor who represents the people of Los Santos by majority
Even
could
if
use
they're
while also in a
on
hasty
the way
manner,
out.
in a decisive manner, while also being subject to oversight and the ability to review them for a potential abuse. Case in point, the last couple of weeks of their term, they can't issue pardons, or if they're under investigation to be
I was about to
impeached,
say that.
can't issue pardons. Just like situations in which they would probably do lame duck shit, just make it so that they can't do it.
Okay, a compromise.
I
Yeah.
don't want absolute power. I definitely don't want absolute power for some fucking jackass. 3 months from now.
Yeah, well, I don't think you do. I think the problem is that you are viewing things under the lens of you being a responsible adult human being.
Ergonomic seating.
Right.
And what I'm
Who's
suggesting
saying
as
this
someone
isn't
who sat
my
across from many a mayor is that you're the
ergonomic
exception,
seating
not the
position?
rule. So we have to plan for not you, Max.
Like I said earlier,
Right.
you have to expect the worst of people because guaranteed, if there is a way to fuck the system, somebody is going to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't like that mentality because it's kind of a cynic's mentality that puts a dark cloud over every single
Well-
interaction that I will have to do as a government official.
I hate to break it to you, Max. The reason why all the regulations are on you as the mayor right now, the reason why we have a treasurer, the reason why we even have a city council is because what's the adage? Fool me 13 times, shame on me.
Yeah.
I mean, I went years with benefit of the doubt. I'm all out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I am an optimist,
Well,
and
God bless.
I believe in people, and I while it would be easy to blame those past mayors for obvious corruption or embezzlement or whatever, the onus lies on the people who crafted the previous system that allowed it to be abused like that.
I agree, which is why I'm so heavily scrutinizing something that allows pure discretion.
And we should scrutinize it too. I agree with you.
Good.
I'm definitely in the position of really wanting to set the city up for success in the future. It's not so much thinking cynically, it's just protections, you know? Just want to make sure that everyone's safe and taken care of.
Cautiously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Crane. That's the thing.
So what do you guys think of what are some scenarios in which lame ducking can occur? Literally, like if they're about to be impeached or if they're on the way out or what?
I mean,
They
it
just
could happen
decide
at
they're
any
bored?
point. Yeah, they could say,
Yeah.
"Oh, this person's offering me 100K for this. That's worth going down for."
Well,
If
how do you prove something like that, right?
You don't.
That's
That's why
the
I'm so
issue.
concerned.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost impossible to prove.
That was my exact point that I made earlier when you said, well, the city council should be able to determine when it's being abused. And the problem is, how do you prove that? And the answer is, it's nearly impossible because it's pure discretion.
I got elected based upon a series of campaign promises that I spoke to people that said that I would sit here and I would petition for a forward-thinking, unbound to the past council. That I would sit here and if I heard talk like this, that I would tell you guys, listen, just because something can go wrong doesn't mean we need to bury our head in the sand and try to even prevent any amount of progress simply because something could go wrong. We have more protections now and more checks and balances now than any other mayor in the history of Los Santos.
I agree. I
Which
just
is
think
why
there should
I'm,
be some on this.
encouraging options. Yeah.
So what do you think, Crane? What's a restriction that you would like to see on the mayoral pardon?
Having 3 people be part of it, so we don't have to have.
I genuinely do not know how to evaluate someone's ability for pure subjective discretion into a qualitative state that can be viewed objectively, because you're trying to analyze someone's decision making when there are no bounds to that decision making except for their own mind. The only thing I can think of is that in the past, to draw a parallel, when we have entertained the concept of parole
Could you meet in the
for
middle
people who were previously
and have
sentenced
3
to
or
life
4
without
people
parole, it has
make
only
the
been
vote,
considered
meaning that you
under
don't
the
have to
guise of a
wait
panel
for a week
that was
to have a
made up
conversation, but you can
specifically
pull
of
in
the victim of the original
available
crime,
people and have a conversation.
a representative from the PD, a representative from psych, determines the person's ability to reintegrate into society, and a judicial member. So
Thanks
in
for
this
dropping by,
case,
Triz. I
because the
appreciate it.
mayoral pardon would be extrajudicial,
Can the deputy mayor
you
propose that
could
legislation?
say
We all
that
can.
the mayor could convene a pardon committee, and perhaps then would need to justify their reasoning to the people
Shut the
involved
fuck
with
up,
the
man.
crime. And I think that would be a good way to sort of balance the authority. But I don't know that there's a way to effectively balance the authority after the fact. I think the balancing would have to come prior to the action, which is why I generally don't know if I support the idea of pure pardons, because I don't know if there's an effective way to balance it before the action occurs. I'm all for second chances, which is why I've been known to be extremely liberal with expungements. Hell, I let Rami run for mayor, and during his term when he was trying to get expunged, which by the way was going to end the day of the election signups closing, he had 3 warrants for his arrest during that period. And I told
remember
him, if you don't get caught for those warrants, then technically you haven't been charged with a crime. So I guess you meet the requirements. So I've been seen as extremely
There
liberal,
isn't any really
and a lot of PD
non-corrupt
probably think that
spots
I'm
other
way
than the
too,
treasurer.
coddling of people and way too nice. And so they'd probably think that I shouldn't have pardon authority because I'd be too nice to certain people. So from that perspective, I struggle with finding a way to make this something that isn't in and of itself abused. Not in potential, I mean just in general. I don't know how to balance it.
To spitball maybe like a compromise here, what if the mayor had pardoning power, but before the order could be signed, the council would have to approve it with a simple majority, and then that way it's also
I don't think
only
it should be
occurring
us.
like once a week?
I don't think it should be us
Okay.
because why are we any more educated on pardons than anybody else? Max
Mhm.
is right. He has the mandate of the people, right? But I don't know why we're any more in a better position than anyone else. I don't know.
I would disagree that you guys aren't in a position for that, because we are all elected representatives of different aspects of what it means to live in Los Santos. Some of people like Mr. Crane are hyper experts in their field. I don't know how long Nakota's been a cop.
I
I know Edda
agree.
has been deputy mayor
It
3
kind of falls
times.
back to you need to.
Juno was a cop. Michael Simone was a hyper criminal.
To be clear,
you know-
also Edda, myself, and
Thank you.
wait, is it Ed and myself? Ed and myself aren't elected.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, my point is
I'm
that
just saying.
yeah. We all are. I think we are qualified to make that kind of decision because we represent so many different walks of life, and we have so many different perspectives that when something like that were to come to the table, then we would be able to review it impartially.
So would the council's opinion on your pardons, would that be something that you're
So
willing
mayor
to consider?
nominates
of course.
pardons, and then the council votes on them.
Yeah.
I have a
Okay.
question about that.
That's
Sure.
Okay.
fine.
Does that mean you recuse yourself from the vote since you're nominating it up front?
No.
I would suggest something.
Yeah,
I
what?
think that I would think that once the pardon's nominated by the mayor, I don't know if the judiciary should be involved
Why not? Because they were involved in their case. and
because
whatnot?
we
Yeah,
were
well,
involved in the
yeah.
adjudication.
What if I
Yeah.
was the one that prosecuted it?
Right.
This
What
is
if
what
we-
I'm saying. This is why it's hard to figure out who's in an objective place. So you either go fully objective, which means you need people not connected whatsoever, or you go fully subjective, which is what I was talking about earlier with parole, where you have the people most informed that you need to convince.
I think pure subjective is good on this case.
I agree. I think so. I think the way parole is mocked up could work. So we could get the judge who ruled on the initial case, the lead prosecutor on the initial case, and the victim. And so the mayor would nominate a person for a pardon and then would need to pitch to these people why he believes this person should be pardoned.
Right. Perfect.
It would definitely
I think
be
that's
spicy,
actually
that's
I
for
think that's
sure.
pretty fair because then that removes the potential for abuse, right? Because those people aren't gonna, the victim and the prosecutor and the judge ain't gonna take a bribe.
Right.
So I guess then is this something that we're wanting like Max or whoever to like write up and we could see the official proposal next week?
Yeah, and we'll revisit it, for the vote.
Well, just for funsies, why don't we
Why did you?
put the pure pardon to a vote
Sure.
You're talking about like as it's written, what you
as I shared with
Right.
you guys.
Okay.
Just mayor 100%.
We'll start with me and then go to Nakota. I vote aye.
I vote nay.
Sorry, I'm
This is where we show our
excuse me, I'm
loyalty.
re-looking at it real quick.
Cantor,
Oh, nay. Sorry.
Crane.
Let me review the exact language. Just give me for a sec.
I'm very open to
Aye.
another proposal, though.
Of course. I just wanted to see what your guys' thoughts are on this one.
Of course.
Yeah, don't ever feel upset. I just want to say, if you guys need to say nay to me, that isn't going to. I'm taking this very serious, and I know that.
Hell yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, I don't want. This is nothing personal.
Of course.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Of course.
I'm very open to just these discussions either way. Even
Well,
if I
you also have to
disagree
see like this. Michael has kind of been on the other end, right?
Yep.
He has been pardoned in a way, or given a second chance, and now he's here. So it makes sense he would
What's
say aye in a way.
section 3 about? TBD commencement.
That's just information that we need to fill in later, like once the law goes into effect. Certain details, I suppose, that would be tossed
To
in
bring
there
it up?
that
No,
we
it's
would
not
be
going to.
discussing here.
He's just asking for votes, and he's going to just say aye.
Yeah, I'm a no as written just because I think it's extremely broad.
Yeah.
It's a nay for the same reasons, but
Juno,
I.
Michael,
Aye.
Etta.
Nay.
Okay, so this motion does not pass. It's 3-5. I will work on a revised pardoning method. And let us move on to the next matter.
Shit, now he really wants to kill me.
The Marriage Act.
Marriage.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Let me get on the
Sorry,
table.
just out of
Yeah.
curiosity,
Wait, the
how many?
mayor what?
Out of curiosity, how many things are we? How many other things are we going to discuss from you, Matt?
I got like 2 more, I think.
Okay, so 3 in total.
I think so.
All right.
I'm gonna move here so I can share with everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect.
So the purpose of this Marriage Act would be essentially to reinstate. There was a brief period of time in the past where spousal privilege was enabled, but it was kind of dialed back on because people were trying to abuse the system and come in and be like, "Hey, I want to marry this guy," blah blah blah. So this act serves 2 purposes, and that's to
I feel like
establish an official recognition
the
from the
next-
state
Hold on,
for
finish.
marriages, one, and to certificate them, and to also make it so that spouses don't have to like, that would be the one perk for being married, is that you wouldn't have to testify against your spouse, which I think is a great idea. Something that doesn't currently exist in the state, something that did have potential for abuse in the past, but it's something that is also, it's very easy to prevent abuse by way of for example, Kermie and some lady with one hand, I forget what her name was trying to get
Nana?
Nana.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were getting married, but there was a judge there to officiate, and the judge was like, "Yeah, you guys shouldn't be getting married." You know, it's really as simple as that. I would like to see judges in a position of power to really go over determining whether or not someone is serious about their marriage, because they would be receiving a state perk in the realm of not having to testify against your spouse.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much it.
I like the concept, but I would like to see a cost associated with it, tax purposes.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And
I meant to include the cost in there. I would like to see $50,000 to get married.
What's legal age?
Holy shit.
18.
and
$50,000 to get
the
married.
second, and I think this helps with the abuse standpoint.
think it should be
I would
15.
not like that spousal privilege to kick in until, let's just say, 21 days after they get married.
Yeah,
right?
they'd have to be
15
married
to
for a
25.
substantial amount of time
Good idea.
Yeah.
So we could drop the price down 25K.
to prevent,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Um,
that's more, yeah, that's better.
What about
we-
25K
one
each?
no, we'll just do 25K, I think.
I also keep it in similar of like one child. Like you could only be married once, and a divorce is also 25K.
Yeah,
or
you can only be
something.
married to
Right.
one person at one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
That's
essentially, the purpose of this would be to establish spousal privilege that there would be a period of time after two individuals are married that they would not be permitted spousal privilege in the event of a court case that transpires then, and they would have to pay a fee to get the official license and certificate.
Just to clarify, I would say 21 days, or there's like already like a case on the docket against, because we know how some of that shit could take a while, right? Like if there's anything pending against them, it can't be. But if there's not, then just 3 weeks later.
That's up to the judge, right? So, you know, if someone wants to get married,
it has got to
the
be
due
judicial.
diligence of the judge should be to go to PD and say, hey, are there any open investigations into these people?
Okay, then yeah, just 21 days then.
Okay. So this one seems pretty clear cut. We've established a fee for getting married, a fee for getting divorced. We've established the restrictions on spousal privilege. We've established what spousal privilege is, and we've established that the state would recognize officially in the form of a certificate an actual marriage between two individuals in the state of Los Santos. All in favor?
I have a question.
Wait.
Yeah. I have a couple questions.
Go on.
Number one, this is nullified if you get a divorce. Yes or no?
The spousal privilege, yeah, because they're not spouses.
4 o'clock.
So yeah.
Okay, go ahead. You have another one, Crane?
Well, my biggest thing is there needs to be some kind of rider in here or some kind of addendum that disclaims the existence or possibility of any kind of asset splitting in divorce. I'm not trying to hear divorce cases.
None of that. No alimony. None of that bullshit. Yeah.
I was trying to be specific in stating that the only empowerment would be spousal privilege, not actual like inheritances or whatever.
Yeah. Again, that's the people are gonna try it because they can. Kind of thing.
They tell them no.
I think,
Boom.
you know, from a medical standpoint, I know in a lot of in a lot of areas around the country, spouses are kind of automatically the main point of contact for emergency contacts unless stated otherwise anywhere. That could be something that we involve.
It's funny
so
because I have a standing
valuable for people to do.
Standing desk.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think as long as we just include the caveat about inherent legal rights to assets and divorce or whatever.
Yeah, I like it if it's a tiny bit more expanded. It seems like, but
I have one more. So
go on.
For as far as I'm aware, from my knowledge, spousal privilege extends to private communication between two married individuals, and there are third-party exceptions to this rule sometimes.
Lifting it and then shit just fucking.
I think we figure that out in court. I think spousal privilege
that's fine.
is the default right. So the baseline, as I understand it, is if myself and Cantor are married and I get accused of embezzlement, the cops can't use text messages between Cantor and I as evidence.
Got it. Okay,
those are privileged communications between a husband and wife.
All right, as long as it's very
anything
specific,
else,
I'm fine with that.
else related to trying to argue about, well, the conversation was out in public at a public place and someone overheard it and therefore there was no expectation of privacy, we'll hear all that shit in court.
Okay, that's fine. As long as that's where my mind goes immediately, so that's good.
I think from what
I'm just making a quick little amendment.
Messaged me. This is the earliest that.
Sounds good.
Like
you reshare it once it's amended, please.
Yeah, I don't know how the formatting will be, but
okay.
As long as you guys don't care.
No. As long as
so
I can read it.
I have the fee for marriage will be to be recognized by the state is $25,000. The fee for a divorce is the same. The state shall certify a marriage after all of the recipient's requirements have been met. The state similarly reserves the right to delay or decline marriage between two individuals if a court case is on the docket concerning one or both of the individuals. Wait, hold on. We decided the 21 days would just be enough, right?
Yeah, because active investigation.
Yeah, because a judge is going to check on all that stuff anyway.
So it doesn't even need to be in there. I'll just train the judges on it.
Okay. The state. Then I'll write. The state similarly reserves the right to. What's the word? Fucking.
The thing is that, I know they talked about wanting to
Oh no, I'm just gonna
have
remove
the
this. Hang on.
possibility of changing last names.
Hold on,
and
just
and
give me
we
a minute
can
to
do
finish.
it.
I can't think
All
of
right.
it.
I don't think it
Yeah.
fucks
fun.
anything up either.
Quick, everyone starts saying random words.
Because in the database, it shouldn't affect
I-
anything.
makes
It
it
might
so
fuck up the
difficult.
MDT because the MDT
feel like
isn't
I'm being the
synchronized with
find
the
the amendment
database.
guy over
I
here.
think.
You're fine, Malcolm. It's literally your job.
But I don't want to bring it up because that's a dev thing again. And
If what happens if two people get married and they both have already adopted a child under the previous legislation? Does that
Well,
mean
I
that
mean, it
the
says per person, so not
yeah,
per couple.
that's the thing.
So
Like reports and MDT
Yeah, but
is
it
gonna
is
be
per
Yeah, I think
person.
that's fair
fucked.
enough.
it would be fine.
okay, so there would be automatically like
Anything system-wise,
That means their
Ingratiated to
kids
the
can't make
family.
out anymore.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
No.
like if they look
exactly.
somebody up in
Not
the
in front of
MDT,
me.
they should use
Okay, so
state ID all the time rather than
the final blurb that I
name.
wrote is in its entirety will be the fee for marriage will recognize the state blah blah blah.
That's why everyone
The state
gets
will certify a
confused when
marriage
they
after
look
all
up
these
Michael
requirements have
because he
been
shows
met
up as
for
butt
21 days
cheeks.
after the marriage has been approved by the state. Spousal privilege does not apply to either individual.
I
Were there-
need to start my phone for a
Sure.
moment.
Were there any other concerns that I missed? Question mark.
I'm good.
You have in there
Previous
the
existing-
filing fee and the divorce fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
Previous
previously
existing what
married
now?
people, married people would have to get remarried under the court.
It was just a
Um,
file.
Yeah, all marriages are not recognized unless they've been adjudicated under the new system.
Lots of people changed names. I think we only had like
And
2 or 3
adoptions.
name changes, really.
You're all
Mhm.
orphans.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
is there like a disqualifier for this?
For marriage.
Well, okay. Meaning two people get married while there's a docket posting, so the other doesn't have to testify against the other. Does that disqualify them?
But the
Yes.
judge would just
Mhm.
Yeah.
deny him in that case.
I
Okay.
mean, the judge
Right.
has discretion, and